Hello everyone. Today would have been my Uncle David's birthday. Seen that on Facebook and I thought I had some memories about Uncle David. Now Uncle David lived a little bit of a strange life. Never got married, never had children, but he had a lot of nieces and nephews and we drove that man nuts. Grandma had an open door policy. That meant we all came in and out of that door. And she had a lot of little grandkids. There's about 20 of us now, but back in my age, we just had like a core, maybe 12 in and out all the time. And I was there a lot because my mom worked third shift from 3 to 11. So I got sent to Grandma's a lot. And David lived with Grandma most of his life. So Grandma would say, go out there and play. And I would, you know how little kids are, I'm bored. So you know what David did? Him and his friend used to play frisbee. And he taught us nieces and nephews how to play frisbee. And he was really good at playing frisbee too. I remember I borrowed that frisbee one time. And we used to play of a night. Yeah, we used to get to go run around the neighborhood. Yeah, no kids would get to do this now, but we did. And he had a glow-in-the-dark frisbee. And I borrowed it one night. We went down the street where there was no street lights and it was kind of dark. And we would throw that thing up in the air. And you know what happened at night when you sent up a glow-in-the-dark frisbee? Bats would come out and attack that frisbee. And we thought that was the funnest thing. We were crazy. I tell you, we were crazy. But anyway, here we are in the middle street throwing up his frisbee. And he already told me, that's my frisbee, and he loved to play his frisbee. And if it got lost, you were in trouble. And he was the one person that did put a switch to me at one time. He was in charge of babysitting us sometimes, and he would say, go get a switch. And at one time, I don't know what I did, but I know he had about 3 of us on the couch, and I think we all got a swat that day. But I think that frisbee got caught in a tree. And I had to go tell him, the bats kept attacking, and I thought, well, the bats will knock it out of the tree eventually. But they didn't, so I had to go confess that. He was mad. But he taught us a lot of things. And I remember another thing we used to have Uncle David do. Uncle David was good with tools. He used to fix things. My mom wanted me a bike when I was a little girl, and this was like, I was probably about 7 or 8. She wanted it at the Marshes on a raffle. And so I had a bike. And my mom went to work. And I was allowed to go anywhere I wanted and ride that bike. Well, I used to ride it around the block. Well, we had that one street there on the end, way far away from Grandma, where Grandma can't see us. And you go down the hill, and it was like a little incline. And you got that bike going pretty fast. When you come off Parkway and you went all the way down to Sanders, you got that bike going pretty fast. So, and then right there at the end, you could turn it. And then you go back around the block. Well, after 3 or 4 times, you got tired. And then you start putting your feet off the pedals, and you just coast down that. And I had to, those, big old, big old handlebars that used to hang on like this. Well, if you didn't turn that corner just right, and here I am, 7 or 8 little girl, maybe 9, I hit that curb. We all kind of hurt that curb. If you didn't turn it, you ran into that curb, and right at the other side of that sidewalk was a big old tree. And I hit that curb one time, and I went flying head first in that tree. And I put my hands out. You know what happens. You scrape your hands. You scrape your feet. Well, when I hit that, I blew the tire. Yeah, and back then, tires, that was, precious. If your tire got flat, it was out of commission for a while until you had to earn money. Back in those days, kids, we earned our money. We dusted, and we did dishes, and we did everything. Sometimes I dust the whole house for a nickel. Yeah, that was big money back then. Of course, you could get an inner tube probably for about 60 cents. But Uncle David had patches. And I brought that bike, and I was bleeding. My knees were all scraped up and everything. And, of course, Grandma was like, what were you doing? I was just riding my bike. Yeah, I was just not doing nothing. You know how us kids were. And then I I showed David the bike, and he seen me all bloodied up, and he had compassion on me. He said, I think I got a few patches. And Grandma said, that you can fix it up tomorrow. And I remember I was in there all patched up, and I had ice on my knee. I was swollen and everything. And that porch light was on. Well, that door was open. And Uncle David was out there patching my bike up and fixing my tire, because he cared about me. I had a lot of uncles growing up. I was blessed. I mean, my mom was one of 10 kids. So then, you know, them girls married. So we ended up with some more uncles. So we had a big family back then. And I remember, though, that they put David in charge of the Easter egg hunt one year. And David had a little tipsy sometimes. I think he had to be drunk to deal with all of us kids. So they were in there playing games, card games. They like to play cards, and they all got together like euchre. But David was in charge of the Easter egg hunt. And that's the only Easter egg hunt I can remember. And it was a money egg. Like I said, you could buy a lot of stuff. They had penny candy back then. I mean, rows and rows and rows of penny candy. They were in buckets, and if you got a nickel or 10 cents, oh, you would take forever to pick 10 things out you like. So to have a money egg with dollar bills in it, and I think it was like $5 or $6 in there, everybody chipped in. And you know what David did? We went out there and hunted all those eggs, and then they said, "Did anybody find the money egg?" We said no, and we were a little bit upset, and we was like, "You didn't find it? No, you didn't find it. Are you lying?" You know how we all did. We was young and stuff, and Dave was up there laughing and laughing and laughing. He said, "It's out there. It's out there in the yard." So he started playing the hot cold game with us. Are you hot? Are you cold? You know, and then we go hot, 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 hot. Well, we look around, there was no eggs. So, you know, eventually one of us went and told on David and said he was teasing us. And so the other ones came out and said, "Where's the money egg, David?" And he said, "They're standing right on top of it. It's out there." You know what he did? He dug a hole, buried that money egg. And we had to play that hot cold game until we found that money egg. Forget who. I know I didn't get the money egg. I think it was one of the older kids, like Bonnie or Billy or somebody, but it wasn't me. But he did crazy things like this. You know what else that they left David in charge of? They left David in charge of fireworks. Yeah. We go down to Orange Park. Used to be a park right there, but, you know, it's just some kind of weird thing with some yellow and blue balls. And used to be a swing set. Used to be all kind of stuff. We used to be able to see all the fireworks from downtown there. So we would go down with Uncle David. You know what he would get? Bottle rockets. Yep, and we'd drink those big long Pepsis, real cold from the cooler. And after that, you know, he'd light them and drop them in there, and he'd let you hold the bottle, and it'd go up, poop, poop. Or every now and then you'd hold it down, it'd go poop. And it would go in the crowd, and he'd say, "Don't do that no more." And well, you know, we did that probably one or two more times. But David was in charge of us a lot of times. But he was good. He was good fun, and, you know, all of our uncles did some crazy things to us. But I remember that David took out time with us, and he was funny to be around. And that Easter egg hunt left a lasting impression on all of us. I know I remember it. But I remember him fixing the bikes. I remember him teaching us Frisbee. And I remember him, and he used to drive a cab. The only thing I remember David doing, and I was young, so I probably didn't know everything. But I remember he drove a cab. And he worked down after the 500, cleaning that up. And he would come home, and he'd be at that coffee table, would be lined with all his treasures. And I would say, what did you get? You know, and he would show me, I got a wallet, I got a watch, I got this, I got this. And after that, when the ice cream man came, because we used to have the ice cream man was Mr. Softy, with that soft serve, it was delicious. And after he worked the 500, and I was there, and it would go, you know, I had to play that little song, do, 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 do. I was like, "Oh, David, you gonna buy an ice cream today?" He goes, "I'm gonna buy me one." And I was like, "Grandma, David won't buy me no ice cream." He's like, and he would look over her, he goes, "Yes, I'm gonna buy her an ice cream. She won't quit crying." I didn't really cry, I was just teasing him. I wanted an ice cream. And he'd go out there and he'd make sure I got an ice cream, and he'd bring Grandma back an ice cream and everything. But he was always good to my grandma. He was a mama's boy. He just loved his mama. And I'm glad I was along the ride there, and I got a lot of ice cream. So after that 500-day cleanup, because he got a lot of change that day, and so I have a lot of good memories of some. And that was just my Uncle David and a few others. I have to tell some others on some other uncles and aunts, but I had a good childhood. And you were back where you could play in the dark in the streets, and you could run the whole neighborhood, and you could ride your bike, and no one checked on you. I don't know how long I laid down there on Sanders before I got strength back up to cripple that bike all the way back the 3 blocks back to Grandma's house. But that's just how we had fun childhood. We got to go do some things, and I'm glad I had family, and that Uncle David was somebody that left a lasting impression, and he's missed today, and there's a lot of others. But today I just wanted to say in honor of David, thanks for the memories, David. We love you and miss you.